Alright everyone, welcome back to the shed. Thanks for liking, subscribing and commenting, appreciate it. So tonight we're going to talk about music theory, the very basics of music theory and scales. Now the interesting thing about this is music theory is that it's a universal language, so you learn it once, it's applicable to all instruments really, not just the guitar, piano, everything. So once you learn it, you don't have to learn it, but it's useful. But once you learn it, it sort of opens the doors to lots of other instruments. So yeah, so let's start with the guitar. So the basics are notes of music. There's 12 notes of music at a very basic level. So on the guitar, you've got your frets. On most guitars, it'll have a 12 fret marker, which is basically the octave, which is the 12th note. So I'll give you a little example of that. So in the key of E, which is a very guitar friendly key, that's the open E, and at the 12th fret, that's E again, but an octave or the same note. 12 frets or 12 notes, or 12 notes of music. So we'll start with the chromatic scale, which is neither major nor minor, but that's just every note, all 12 of the notes. So quite simply, you just play all of the frets. So this is the chromatic scale. So you probably notice that that's not a particularly musical scale. It doesn't belong in a particular key or a particular tonality. So the idea of scales is basically you're splitting up those 12 frets in different ways. So today I'll show you the major scale. Most scales have got 7 steps to them, so you've got your 12 frets, but in a scale you would only play 7 of those notes to break up the scale in different ways. So an example would be, here's your 12 notes. That's all 12 played, the chromatic scale, but the major scale is this. So that probably sounds familiar to many people, because that's one of the most popular and well used scales in Western music. So the major scale, I played you 7 notes out of the 12. And different scales are basically different ways of breaking up those 12 notes. So the major scale is the first, you play the first note, which is the E. We'll play in the key of E to make it simple. The next note is 2 frets up. The next note is another 2 frets up. The next note is 1 fret up. The next note is another 2 frets up. Another 2. Another 2. And then 1. So another way you can describe frets is each fret is a semitone and 2 frets is a tone. So the way the major scale breaks up is start, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that's the same for all keys. So if you're playing in C, it's the same. So we'll start key C, C. So still the same. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So that's all great, but how does that compare with other scales? So this is the major scale, as we just played there. Now that's using the 7 steps of the 12 notes of music. So let's compare that to the minor scale, and you'll notice the difference. So I'll play the major scale and then I'll play the minor scale. I'll start again. Major, here's minor. Now you notice it sounds completely different. It's got a little bit more of a melancholy tone to it, That's why it's called the minor scale. Yeah, so a lot of sort of ballads, sad songs will use the minor scale. That's not always the case. And happier type upbeat songs will use the major scale. So the only difference really between the major scale and the minor scale is, first of all, the third step. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So the first 3 steps of the major scale go tone, tone, but the minor scale goes tone, semitone. So it's major, minor, and also the 6th step is also flattened, which means it's a semitone and not a tone. So major, minor. There's a flattened 6th, sorry, flattened 5th. Sorry, flattened 6th. So there you go. Major, minor scales and most other scales are just 7 steps of the chromatic scale, which is all of the notes, just split up differently with different intervals. So then going back to the major scale, why do you need to learn this type of thing? So yeah, I mean, there's 2 schools of thoughts on this. I mean, when you're learning guitar, you want to learn other people's songs. You want to learn famous songs. That sort of builds your technique. But really, you're just learning things parrot fashion. It's not really going to get you anywhere. It's not really creative. To be truly creative on the instrument, you need to learn scales, because scales is how you would work out your own music. Work out which chords to play in a particular key, work out which melodies to play over the top of that if you were to do lead, or even if you were to sing. Having the notes of the major scale down would just give you a reference point of what to play. So going back to chords, I'll just give you an example of that. So you've got the major scale, which is this again. So what you can actually do is substitute those notes for chords. So for example, if we're playing in the key of E, obviously the first note is E. So there's your E major for the E major scale. Now the 4th and the 5th steps of that scale would also be major chords. So in the key of E, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 4, which is A, and there's 5, which is B. So those 2 chords will also be major when you're playing chords of a progression. So for example, E, sorry. That's the first step. Sorry, that's the root, not the first step. Then the 4th step would be A. The 5th step is B. Both major chords. And then back to A major. And all of the other steps of the major scale would be minor chords just to begin with. So for example, so the chords are A, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, E flat, back up to E. So when I mention flats and sharps, basically what I'm talking about is, so you've got G and you've got A, so the note in between, it can be either G sharp or A flat, depending on the reference note. So that note there, you can call either G sharp or A flat. It doesn't matter, it's the same note. Something else worth mentioning is the notes of music. I'll just name them and you'll notice there isn't a sharp and a flat between E and F or B and C. So let's go. So start E, 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 F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. And something else interesting is, if you look at a piano keyboard, all of the white keys, none of them are sharp or flat. They're just the sort of A, B, C, D, E, F and G. No sharps, no flats. The flat notes or the sharp notes are the black keys. So if you've got a piano, if you just stick to the key of C and the white keys, you can't go wrong, because the key of C has no sharps or flats in it. C major scale, that is. So that's something else. So yeah, the more you learn about this stuff, the more adaptable you'll be across different instruments, because music theory is the same throughout. So anyway, going back to those chords, so I'll go through the sequence again. So using that scale, you can work out which chords are in the key of A major. So just play the scale, and you can play the corresponding chords. So you would swap out the 4th and 5th step for major chords, and all of the rest of the chords are minor chords. So here we go. It's A major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, back up to E. So there you go. If you want to write a song and you're stuck on chords in the key of E major, go to your E major scale. There's all your chords, so you can experiment. So what chord do I play next? Maybe B. I mean, that wasn't very good, but you get the idea. That just lets you experiment, gives you an idea what different chords are in each key, and that's the same for all keys. So you just get into the key, work out the steps, work out the chords. And the other thing is, once you've got those chords and you want to get into lead playing, you can play the major scale over the top. I mean, you don't just have, obviously you won't play it on just the high E string. So for example, there's an E major scale, but you would work out positions to play that in. So for example, I'll go backwards. So that's a more compact, what they call a box, to get you started on a lead playing, but we'll not cover this in this video. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. Explore it. People say you don't have to read music or learn music theory, but in my opinion, it's very useful to learn. It'll make you a better musician, a better guitarist. So yeah, good luck. Good luck in your playing, good luck in your songwriting, and I'll see you on the next one. Catch you in a bit.